Honorable members, I would like to make an announcement, and that is that the Honorable Matiebas, member of the Economic Freedom Fighters, has resigned as a member of the National Council of Provinces. He has been replaced by a new member who was sworn in this morning, the Honorable N.P. Mokhosi. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome this member. It seems I'm doing it in absentia. Order, members. I would like to order. Before we proceed, I would like to take the opportunity to welcome the President to this honorable House. Your Excellency, Mr. President, you are very much welcome. We're very happy to see you. I want to therefore proceed to invite the President of South Africa to the podium, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson, we take youth development seriously, which is why the task is located in the presidency, especially in the Ministry for Planning, Performance Monitoring and Evaluation, under the leadership of Deputy Minister Buti Manamela. The Deputy Minister is currently working on the development of the National Youth Policy 2020, focusing on economic participation and transformation, education, skills development, health care, and combating substance abuse, as well as building and social cohesion. These programs will target all youth, including rural youth. With regards to existing programs, in the presidency, the National Youth Development Agency has disbursed a total of 28 million rand to support new entrepreneurs, which has assisted 741 youth-owned enterprises and created 4,189 new and substantive direct jobs for the 2014 to 2015 financial year. I launched the NYDA's Solomon Mahlangu Scholarship Fund last year. The program, which is supported by the Department of Higher Education and Training, as well as the National Skills Fund, which funds 300 young people in the higher education and training institutions. The NYDA also runs a successful matric rewrite school to prepare our youth for a better future. There are several youth development programs in government departments. The number of youth and that have participated in the extended public works program has grown from 229,642 in the 2009 to 2010 financial year to 452,999 during the 2014 to 2015 financial year, third quarter. We also have the successful National Youth Service Leadership Program and the Vukupile Contractor Leadership Program under the Expanded Public Works Program, which provide construction skills training. The Department of Rural Development and Land Reform has provided training to more than 4,000 young people in various trades as part of the National Rural Youth Service Corps program. The Department of Environment Affairs continues to roll out programs that benefit the youth. These include working on waste, working for wetlands, working for water, working on fire, and environmental youth service programs. The Department of Higher Education and Training has assisted thousands of young people with funding for studies through the National Students Financial Aid System, or scheme, the establishment of the 3 new universities and 12 new training and vocational education colleges is also part of boosting and enhancing youth development. Through the decade of the African program, through the decade of the Artisan program that was launched in 2014, the development of higher education and training has also managed to reach over 15,000 learners, exposing them to occupations such as plumbing, electrical, mechanical, and other civil trades. Training of our youth is also done through state-owned enterprises and companies such as Transnet, Eskom, PRASA, and others. The National Treasury manages the Youth Employment Incentive Scheme to encourage employers to employ youth so that they can gain experience. We also continue to encourage employers to take in young people as interns and apprentices as part of the Youth Employment Accord. There are also new programs being introduced. The Department of Human Settlement launched a youth brigade in December last year to promote youth participation in construction, working with the Department of Small Business Development, the National Youth Development Agency, and the private sector. The Department of Water and Sanitation is to train 15,000 young people as plumbers, artisans, and water agents to eliminate water leaks in their communities. To enable better coordination and championing of all this good work by the presidency, last week I established a presidential task team on youth development, which is chaired by Deputy Minister Manamela. comprising 18 deputy ministers. I am also establishing a presidential youth working group to improve coordination with stakeholders and youth formations. Honorable members, ultimately, economic growth is the fundamental solution to improve opportunities for our youth. We continue to work with business, labor, and the community sector to improve the economic climate to enable inclusive growth and development. I thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable President. Honorable Mateme, do you have a follow-up?
Person of Council. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa. Mhlomphehi, next time my follow-up will be in isiZulu, hopefully. Hopefully. My follow-up question, Mr. President. Only yesterday, we've just learned that, comparatively speaking, provinces are doing very well in addressing the issue of unemployment. The only challenge seems to be, the statistics says it is there in the Western Cape, where the opposition is in power. Figures indicate that unemployment is growing there. So my follow-up question is, this message of hope that Your Excellency is giving to the country, this message of hope, is it also going to benefit the people of the Western Cape, particularly the youth? Because statistics says this province is not doing well in that regard. Will these interventions benefit the province also? Thank you.
Honorable President.
Well, thank you, Honorable Speaker. The programs that I've talked about and plans and activities are meant to deal with the youth in South Africa. There is no part of South Africa that is not included in this. If there could be parts of the country that are not doing well, that will be perhaps some subjective conditions or whatever, which will have to be looked at. But otherwise, the aim by government is to empower and benefit the youth of South Africa throughout the country. Thank you.
The Honorable Van Lingen. Ntate Mtileni, you are standing. Is that a point of order?
Privilege, going back to rule number 81.
Honorable Mtileni, please take your seat. I am dealing with supplementaries. Honorable Van Lingen, you have been recognized. Please remember, I can only take 4. 1 has already gone. That is number 2. Mtileni, if it is a question, you are number 3. Number 4, that didn't have. Mayor Van Lingen.
Honorable Chairperson, the President has referred to the tax incentive scheme. Now this employment tax incentive number 26 of 2013 was signed in, and the Honorable President referred to the fact that the youth can be employed and they can do it through National Treasury, but then he didn't give any figures on the fact. He also referred to the EPWP scheme where over 5 years the numbers have increased through a temporary work opportunity by 100,000, which is 20,000 a year, which is not really much. But we know that 52% of the youth, or 1.3 between the ages of 15 and 24, are unemployed. We also know that the youth coming into the labor market between the ages of 15 and 19 are 5.2 million. My question is, what forward planning is being done when the Honourable President says the Deputy Minister is busy with the youth policy for 2020? So I want to know what forward planning is made, because we can't do it on EPWP and similar. We must get the private sector involved.
Thank you, ma'am. Honourable President.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Well, what we are dealing with, these are plans that we have made, and they are forward-looking. The private sector is involved. We have just worked out a way of following and monitoring how far we could do better. But we believe that the numbers that I've given, which have grown, indicate that the plans are working. And I think what we should bear in mind, because I know that when we discuss these matters, generally people take South Africa like any other country that has existed, which did not have interruptions or wrong policies. South Africa is a country that there were deliberate policies that created the problem we're dealing with today, that decided that the majority of the people of this country should be deprived of proper education. We just were 21 years that we are dealing with this backlog, and that's why we have a challenge. And that's why the challenge is huge. If we did not have wrong policies before, we would not be having this problem like many other countries who don't have it. I think we should take that into account when we address these matters. That is partly the reason why we've got these different programs to address a problem which is the making of our own unfortunate history. And therefore, we can't deal with it overnight. The disadvantaging of the young people in the majority was not done overnight. It was done over decades and decades. And it is going to take decades and decades before we correct this. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Ntileni.
Chair, I'm standing on a point of order, please. Can I be recognized?
On a point of order.
Yes.
Please
The
proceed.
point of order is that Honourable Mitileni raised on a point on rule, Rule 81, and you were very dismissive. And if you can kindly refer us to the rule that does not allow him to stand on Rule 81 on a question on privilege during a debate. You are very dismissive of him, and I'd like you to make a ruling on that, please.
I will come back on a rule. Datim Tilen, you are recognized on a follow-up. I will come back to you. I will come back and rule on the point of order you are giving me.
But is it going to be today? Because Chairperson,
Ma'am, I am responding to you. I will come back and rule on the point of order you are putting.
I think it's very unfair. We have members raising on questions here, and all I'm asking is for guidance from you as the chairperson on why, and I don't think it's hard for you to say why Honourable Mitileni is not allowed to raise on question 81. That's all, and I don't think that is hard, and I don't think that's beyond you being able to respond. Yes, Rule 81.
It is not beyond me to respond to you. I have responded to you. I have said that I will come back and rule on the point of order you are raising.
Will it be today or in another ruling at another time?
I have ruled. Please
So
take your
that's the
seat.
ruling.
I said I will come back and give you a ruling on the point of order you are
Are
raising.
you going to give us
Please
a ruling
take your
no,
seat,
but
Honourable
Chairperson, Are you
Mateus.
going to give us a ruling today or at another time? That's all I am asking. Will the ruling be given to us today before the sitting is over or at another time? That's all I'm asking for that.
Honourable Mateus, you stood up on a point of order. In terms of the rules of this House. When a point of order has been stated, the officer presiding may rule immediately or rule at any other time. Have you been responded to now?
I'm agreeing that you can rule any other time. All
I
I
have
am
ruled.
questioning is when are you going to rule? Will it be in the sitting today or will it be on another day? That is all I'm trying to determine.
I will rule when I rule because I have said to you, I have heard your point of order. The rules permit me to rule immediately or at any other time.
And so you're telling the House today that you will just come back to this ruling
Honorable
whenever
Matthys.
it's going to suit you. That's all. I don't think it's hard. I'm not
Honorable
saying,
Matthys.
Chairperson, I am not asking you to, I'm just saying,
Honorable
when are you
Matthys,
going
I
to
think you are
rule? That's all.
deliberately.
I'm not, Chairperson. I'm asking you to kindly just say I'll conclude the ruling later today or it will be in
I will
another
not
plenary.
conclude the ruling later today at your insistence.
You won't?
I will come back to this House and rule on the point of order you have raised.
Okay, so
That
it won't
is
be today.
enough.
That's all.
The Honorable Mtileni.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I am also rising on a question of privilege. According to this book, rule number 81, I am allowed to interject and maybe come up with a question. If you check rule number 81, I'm allowed to can pose a question, maybe immediately after the answering by the president. So that being alone, I still am still waiting for your permission to can carry on with
I could rule
privilege
on
of
you
rule number
immediately
81.
for repeating a point of order or a matter which has already been put to the House. I will not do so.
This one of mine is not a point of order. It's I'm rising on a privilege of rule number 81 to be afforded an opportunity to pose a
Proceed.
question.
Proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. President,
Ntate, you are raising on a point of privilege.
yes,
You address me, not the president. Proceed.
okay. During question time, in the National Assembly, I think, honorable members, like it was said yesterday, they need to respect us as we speak. Because once we start howling at each other, I don't think you'll stand the pain. Honorable Chair, during question time at the National Assembly,
Is that the point of privilege, Honorable
it's a
Member?
point of privilege, yes. During question time at the National Assembly, the president of this country was very passionate, with a broad smile and even cracking jokes. That day he looked very energetic, saying that he never dodged answering questions in Parliament. And today, I think it's hardly barely 2 months after he spoke at the NA. We still want to, know from the president, as the head of this country, does he have any intention, leading by example as the head of this country, to maybe respond to the recommendations of the public protector on the Nkandla issue? Because I think we cannot deteriorate, some of the, state organs, because, what was recommended by the public protector was that the president was duly unbenefited
Honorable
in
Member,
Nkandla.
I am listening to your point of privilege in terms of Rule 81. Can I read the rule to you?
Yes.
It says that an urgent motion directly concerning the privileges of the council takes precedence over other motions and orders of the day. directly. Now, I'm trying to understand the urgent motion that you are bringing that concerns the privileges of this House in the speech you have made. You said you were rising on a matter of privilege. So please respond to it. You quoted rule number 81. It says an urgent motion. No, order, members, order.
No, in fact, according to this rules book, I am allowed, after the president has responded, or before he could even take, the podium, to ask a question. This book allows me to ask any, as a matter of privilege, I can ask any question outside what is in the question paper. You can even consult with, the people who are sitting in front of you there.
I don't have to consult. I
I am
have
allowed.
exactly the same rule, Honorable
Yes.
Member. I seem also to remember, Honorable Members of the National Assembly, that we took time, 2 workshops on the rules. And the second time we took the workshop on the rules was so that we read the rules together and interpreted the rules the same way. Rule number 81 says, and the caption is question of privilege. It says an urgent motion directly concerning the privileges of the council takes precedence over other motions and other orders of the day. The honorable member has not spoken, given us any motion. He hasn't raised any matter which directly affects the orders of this day's orders. Honorable member, this is the last opportunity for you to talk because
Yes.
we cannot continue to divert the business of today.
Yes, I am proposing that I move the motion that in the next appearance, the president should be in a position to answer because he owes the nation, that he should come and answer for himself on the recommendations of the public protector. I so move that in the next meeting,
You are
in this
repeating
very house, when
yourself.
it comes to answer questions.
Honorable Chief Whip.
Chairperson of Council, thank you very, very much. The business before us today, maybe the member needs some workshop of some sort somewhere. The business before this House today, it's a very specific business. The President of the country is responding to questions put to him by those members of this House who care for the public that sent them here. Chairperson, without appearing somehow, the organization to which the honorable member belongs did not put a question on this order paper. Thank you. And the business before
The
this
point of
House-
order is sustained, Honorable. Your point of order is sustained, Honorable Mateis. The members of the House do not necessarily have to put a question on the paper, Honorable Chief Whip, for them to follow up. So I want to now go on with the business of the House. Honorable Mtileni, Honorable Labaskachne, do you have a point of order?
I have.
Van Lingen, sorry.
That's okay, Chairperson. I want to know whether you recognize the member for a question as well, or whether we're going to offer to field another question, because we're wasting time. Thank you.
Yes, we are wasting time. But democracy is also a process which sometimes wastes time and resources, which we must respect because we fought for it, Honorable Van Lingen. So be a little bit patient. Honorable Julius, you were on a point of order?
Thank you, Chairperson. I think you afforded also Honorable Mteleni an opportunity to ask a question in terms of this session, and he used Rule 81, maybe unsuccessfully, but I beg you, can I be afforded an opportunity to replace him as my hand was up? Thank you, Chair.
Yes, indeed, I had recognized Honorable Mtileni as the third person to ask a supplementary question. Because he rose and did something else, I am still accorded the opportunity to exercise whatever privilege I have sitting here to give him that opportunity. But I have another hand on a point of order, the Honorable Nyambi.
Thank you, Chair. I like you to make a ruling about Rule 81, because it's part of Chapter 7 dealing with motions. And I won't repeat and read it for the House because we have already done that. Is it parliamentary for deliberately misleading the House, abusing the opportunity, quoting Rule 81? That is very clear, and smuggling something that is totally not linked to what is Rule 81 saying to us in terms of motions, Chapter 7, Rule 81.
Honorable Nyambi, we gave the honorable member to do as Rule 81 says. He indeed proposed a motion which falls by the wayside because there is no time for motions. He has, however, at the time I recognize the supplementaries, raised a hand for a supplementary. I am according you that privilege now, the Honorable. For a supplementary, because he also raised, and when I asked him whether it was for a follow-up, he said yes. If you do not have it, Moranaka, I would be happy to pass.
I actually, according to what I...
Honorable Mateus, please be respectful to the rules of this House. Please take your seat. Please take your seat. There is a member I have recognized who is on the floor.
But
Please
I'm raising on
take
a point
your
of
seat.
order. I'm raising on a point of order. I was
He
raising
is
on a point
on
of
this-
order. This is, it's not a follow-up question. I'm raising on a point of order, and I've been raising and I've been standing, and you haven't recognized me, Chairperson. And it was response to our Honorable Chief's Whip's comment about EFF not submitting questions. And I have a right to give an explanation and clarification on that. No, I do.
Honorable
The
Mateus.
Chief Whip is misleading the
Honorable
House,
Mateus.
and as a member of the EFF, it needs to be clarified.
No, honorable member, I think it would help this House if you learned to listen to what other members of this House say. When you rose, I actually came to your defense and sustained your point of order. So there is nothing that you are going to tell us which I have not called the Chief Whip to order on. Please take your seat.
Chairperson,
Please take your seat.
You preempted what my point of order was going to be. And you said we don't have to submit questions. We did submit questions, and that's what I want to clarify, because we cannot have Honorable Chief Whips coming here and misleading what EFF has and has not done. And I think we have a right under Rule 50. there's explanations, and when we are misquoted, we are allowed to give clarity on the matter, and that is what I'm standing on. But the matter's been clarified. Thank you, Chair.
We proceed. The Honorable Ntebo is on the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair Mama Tandi. Your Excellency the President, you said in your response that part of the efforts by this government that you are leading is to ensure that we empower and ensure that all efforts benefit the youth, including those who are in the most rural part of the country. 2 days ago and yesterday, the Economic Development Department presented a plan to say 4.5 billion will be channeled towards youth empowerment. Is this part of the coordinated approach by your government to ensure that we alleviate poverty from this sector of the population, which is the youth? Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Yes. All that is part of the efforts that are addressing the plight of the youth in our country. All departments are doing what they can to ensure. That's why I counted a number of departments here who have very specific programs, who are putting in money to ensure that these programs reach the youth in every corner of the country. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Honorable members, Honorable President, we proceed to the second question, which was posed by the Honorable Van Lingen. Honorable Julius? Honorable Julius?
Thank you, Chair. I thought that you will rule on my request earlier because we only had 3 follow-up questions. Honorable Mtileni didn't pose a question.
He didn't. He was given the chance. He didn't use the chance, but he took the time to have made that question. And I'm sorry, the 4th supplementary was given to the Honorable Ntebo. There will be other supplementaries. Honorable President, you are on the second question.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. On the 29th April 2015, South Africa provided a report to the SADC region on the steps it had taken as a means of bringing an end to attacks against fellow Africans and other foreign nationals living in South Africa. This took place at the SADC's extraordinary summit of heads of states and government in Harare, Zimbabwe. This report was well received by the SADC extraordinary summit, as reflected in the final communique, which noted, amongst others, that, and I quote, while condemning the attacks, summit commended the measures that the government of South Africa has put in place and resolved to work together to deal with the situation and ensure it does not recur, unquote. When these attacks on foreign nationals started, our government directed all South African ambassadors, high commissioners within our continent to brief their host government and countries. Our ministers also briefed all ambassadors representing different countries in South Africa. If necessary, South Africa will utilize bilateral engagements to explain its position further. We will also present a report to the United Nations and the African Union on the recent attacks on foreign nationals. We are grateful to the African continent and the international community as a whole for the understanding manner in which the unfortunate and unacceptable incidents were received. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, President. The Honorable Van Lingen, do you have a follow-up? The Honorable Masango, the Honorable Zimande, the Honorable Mokosi. I have taken 3. The Honorable Mopelecha, Honorable Masango.
Mlambo.
Mlambo.
Thank you, Chair.
Ma'am, proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable President, on the 30th of April 2015, a statement on the recent attacks on foreign nationals delivered at the African Union's Peace and Security Council acknowledged that poor socio-economic conditions, such as low wages, high levels of unemployment, rural underdevelopment, poverty, and a lack of
Honorable Masango,
opportunities.
tilt your mic a little bit. Yes, thank you.
Shall I start from this beginning?
No, you can proceed.
Oh, okay. I did. Poor socio-economic conditions were already identified as drivers of attacks on foreign nationals in a range of detailed reports published in the aftermath of the 2008 wave of xenophobic attacks. I would like to know, Honorable President, with South Africa's unemployment rate standing at over 24% and more than half of the population living under the poverty line, what have you done since taking office to address the country's poor socio-economic situation identified as a driver of attacks on foreign nationals? Thank you, Chair.
The Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Well, with regards to the matter of the discussions and the statement that the member referred to, the issue of clashes and actions taken against foreign nationals is a global phenomenon. I think we should know that, because I know that people would want to think that this is a South African problem. In fact, I was with heads of states in Russia just some days ago, and we were able to talk about this, and they were saying, look, this is everywhere, including in Europe. It is in the main driven at times by economic challenges of countries. I think those who must have looked at the interview where the Minister of Arts and Culture was with Professor Patika and a professor from Nigeria discussing this very matter. He quoted figures of what has happened in Africa, where foreign nationals have been driven out of the countries and vice versa. I'm just raising the issue so that people shouldn't think that is a South African problem. It is in part driven by poverty. I think if you look at particularly the 2 incidents in the country, you will realize that that was evidence that came afterwards. So there is poverty. It differs in degrees in the world, particularly of the poor people. Perhaps in South Africa it could be influenced by certain historical factors that we also need to recognize at all material times. Because if we forget that, we'll be like forgetting where we come from. Precisely because of our history, since 1994, we have adopted programs to address the poorest of the poor, and that's why we have the biggest social program in the country, which addresses about 16 million people who have been helped to be able to have something to put on the table. The very programs of government which are in the main poor, pro-poor, are actually addressing the issue of poverty. The World Food Programme has actually recognized there is a report that South Africa has done very well, I think in the continent is South Africa and Ghana, in alleviating poverty. In other words, our programs are recognized, and I know that people who have exaggerated views in South Africa don't recognize that. But the reality is that the world that looks at poverty in the world has made that recognition. And therefore, our programs are working, are addressing the issue of poverty. That's the reason why we provide houses to the poor who cannot buy houses. And these are programs that address that kind of issue. And therefore, we are satisfied that our programs are moving very well. As we're dealing with the issue of the unemployed youth, for an example, that's part of the program. And therefore, we are satisfied that our programs that we work on are working, are recognized by international organizations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The Honorable Nzimande.
Ngibonge sihlalo walomkhandlu Nxumalala siyakubingelela sibonga amazwi akho okwashilo ensukwini ezidlule ukweluleka abantu umbuso waseBurundi ukuthi wenze kanjani ukuphendula ezinkingeni ababhekene nazo malana nokungenelela kokhetho abaliphakamisile. President, since over 100, our movement has been using and holding on the position that we are part of Africa. We are creating, our commitment is to create a better Africa and a better world. And I would like to hear your comment in terms of what we are doing, and we know that part of what we are doing in the creation of the better world include our commitments to the Renaissance, to issues of participation in peacekeeping, in issues of economic development through bilaterals and all other related activities that we do in the continent to make sure that we're part of bettering the lives. As we've just responded in the previous question in relation to poverty programs inside the country, but that our policy on the better Africa in trying to deal with issues that are faced by our fellow sisters and brothers in Africa, which are also economically related, poverty related, inequality. I mean, we've also subscribed to 2063 vision of equal society in Africa. As to all of this, how much would they add in our fight for xenophobia in South Africa? I thank you.
Siyabonga baba. Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We are part of Africa, and we have been and will always be. And therefore, we are part of the programs that Africa discusses, that Africa works on, whether they are for peace, whether for mediation, or for contributing in making plans to ensure that Africa is able to implement its desires. For an example, we are involved in the issues of expanding the economic possibilities by being part of infrastructure, which is the massive infrastructure in the continent to connect Africa and engage in inter-trade. And also, Africa is working slowly to soften the borders, partly because we are the same people. And therefore, we are part of that. When we say we are working to change the quality of lives of our people, we are working to make South Africa a better continent, and also we are part of those who contribute to a better world. We are part of it. That's why, in addition to being part of the United Nations, we are also part of BRICS. We are also creating relations with a number of countries. We have representatives. South Africa is one of the countries that have representatives in the world. I think it's one of the biggest, which indicates how we implement our policy. So, as the country in Africa that belongs to a number of organizations like G20, we do not fail at all material time to raise the issues of the continent. We do not just speak on behalf of South Africa only. This is what we do at all material times, to implement that sentiment that we're part of Africa. We feel what is happening in Africa. That's why we're able to pronounce on what is happening in Burundi, because we believe it affects poor Africans who are not in authority. And that's why we're saying those in authority should act in a manner that Burundi is not once again plunged to war, because that is going to delay the process moving forward to prosperous Africa. So we are part of it, and I'm happy that you raise the issue, because indeed South Africa is part of the leading countries in working for the unity of the continent and working together. Thank you.
The Honorable Mukhosi.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Mr. President, it is you who made disparaging remarks about roads in Malawi not so long ago, to supposedly show that South Africans are superior to other Africans. It is your son who a few weeks ago made calls for foreigners to leave the country. It was you who, after the brutal murder of Emmanuel Sithole, claimed that Sithole was not in the country legally. Inferring that, give me a chance. You can howl as much as you want. You are not intimidating me.
Honorable Member Mukhosi, usually, and it is a convention which the EFF has not respected in the Fifth Parliament, a new member is accorded all the respect of the maiden speech, because the new member is also not expected to make any controversial issues which will make the other members attack. So please stick to addressing the President via the chair. You don't speak directly to members.
Thank you, Chair.
And please remember that you must come to a point of concluding your supplementary question within the 2 minutes, and you've got 1 minute and 11 seconds left.
Thank you, Chairperson. Noted. Inferring that perhaps it's okay to murder those who are in the country illegally. At your instructions, our armed forces are playing big brother to other African countries. Now, my question to you is, as a leader who made or protected those who made these inflammatory remarks, when are you going to take personal responsibility for the violence that has ensued, and personally apologize to South Africans and the rest of the African continent for your misguided views? Thank you.
The Honorable President.
Well, firstly, Honorable Chairperson, I don't know what are my misguiding views. I wish I could get them very clear so that I can respond. Otherwise, I'm going to talk many things. What are my misguiding views in the continent? Could the Honorable Member clarify? He talked about my son. My son is a man. He has his own views. he could deal with him, could write, if he wrote an article, he could respond to him. I think he knows it very well. It's not me who made a statement. It's Mzoxolo, Edward. And if he wants to write and respond, let's respond to Edward. Why respond to me? Why didn't he not respond to another youth? I mean, it's not my view. I'm just saying, what are these misguiding views so that I can respond very clearly to the member?
Honorable President, the member has a chance only to make one question. The question, as I understand it, is that you have responded. And therefore, we will pass on to the next question, President.
Okay.
And the last person on this is the Honorable Mlambo. On a point of order, Ntate Kaula.
Yes, Honorable Chairperson, I just want to know if the President's son will deal with the Honorable Member, man to man or man to woman.
We must thank the Honorable Kaula for bringing tempers down. Honorable Vauda, is that a point of order?
Indeed, I'm standing on a point of order, Honorable Chair. The honorable member is, as we can all see, a very, very attractive lady. I do believe that the Honorable President owes the young lady an apology for referring to her as a he instead of a she. And I don't think it is a matter that should be taken lightly.
The
Thank
point
you.
of order is taken. The Honorable Mlambo, please proceed.
Ngiyabonga sihlalo somuzi wamaphondo. Ngibonge kumongameli. Owami umbuzo mongameli sizwakele impendulo.
Ngicela usondele embhobheni.
Ngiyezwakala manje. Owami umbuzo ubhekene nenkinga yaba khona ngenxa yale ngxushunxushu xenophobia. Ukuthi ubudlelwane bethu nezwe lase Nigeria mongameli buke bathi ukuphazamiseka ngenxa yokuphuma o ukuhamba kwenxusa lase Nigeria libuyela ezweni lakubo. Manje wami umbuzo ke mongameli ukuthi ngicela ukwazi ukuthi ingabe leso simo siye salungiswa yini uhulumeni wethu. Ingabe leli nxusa lase Nigeria liye labuya kwaba khona ukuxoxisana. Ngiyathokoza.
Before the President responds, Honorable Mlambo, the principal question deals with the repairing the relations within SADC. Nigeria is not a member of SADC. It is a member of our continent. So in that respect, it is up to the President whether he wants to treat this as a supplementary to this question.
Oh.
Pendula ke baba. Ngicela ucime baba.
Ubuhlobo phakathi kweSouth Africa neNigeria buqinile njengoba baziwa abuzange buphazamiseke ngenxa yale nxushunxushu. Ngemva kokuba kube khona ukuhamba kwenxusa lase Nigeria kuthiwa libiziwe ekhaya. Eqinisweni owumongameli lo ophumayo wangifuna waze wangithola ngocingo exolisa ukuthi kudume ukuthi babize inxusa. Akakwazi lokho yena ewumongameli nje. Uzwa kuthiwa kukhona futhi bengiyona iambassador bekuyi officer ebikhona la. Sengathi kukhona omunye official obizelo bembizela ukuzo consulta. Yena akakwazi lokho akade akabengazi nokwazi bengazi nokuthi uyayifuna futhi uzothatha amanyathelo nakulo official uma ku minister uyothatha amanyathelo ekhuluma namlo. Lokho kuyakutshena ukuthi ubudlelwano bethu abokaze bonakale nokuthi kuthiwa kubizwe inxusa kwakuphendukezelwa kolwazi noma kwe-information akuzange kube khona. So kusasingekho isidingo sokuthi sikhathazeke ngobuhlobo phakathi kwalamazwe busamile nje buqinile.
Siyabonga, President. We proceed, honorable members. We proceed, President, to the third question put by the Honorable Ntebe.
Honorable Chairperson, I met with South African stakeholders in April, which included leaders from various sectors, amongst others, the faith-based organizations, business, labor, youth, community, creative industries, sports, children and professional associations. We discussed the underlying reasons behind the attacks on foreign nationals in our country, especially brothers and sisters from the continent, and to find common solutions. The meeting was fruitful. We were united in our condemnation of the attacks and in the need to work together to ensure that there was no recurrence in our country of these attacks. We also felt it would be important to meet with organizations representing foreign nationals who live in South Africa. The meeting was helpful and constructive and created an enhanced understanding of the situation on the ground and the challenges faced by immigrants in the country. They also shared their own understanding about why they left their own countries and came to South Africa. The representatives of the foreign nationals also explained that because of South Africa's policies on migration, they find South Africa to be a safe destination. They were explaining, Honorable Chair, why they pass all these countries, no matter where they come from, to come to South Africa. They were saying in other countries they don't feel safe. They feel safe in South Africa. They know they're protected. And they also acknowledge the fact that it is not necessarily the xenophobia that is dominant. It is other factors that cause the attacks. Perhaps for the benefit of the members, in 2008, you remember there was an attack. There were attacks which was more prevalent in Gauteng. There were two elements that we got what caused the problem. As I met the community in Tswane, it were actually more criminal elements who wanted to loot and therefore created the situation at the time. That was one factor. When I was in the East Rand, the other factor was related to the workers who were saying, angry with the companies, that they were underpaying foreigners, particularly from Mozambique, and that was undermining their work as unions. So these were two issues. And in these two issues, as you would realize. Nobody said, let us attack the foreigners just for the sake of it because we hate them. In January, as you know, there was also another attack in Soweto. The cause for it is that one of the foreign nationals who owned the shop shot the young man who was breaking into the shop and killed him. And that is what sparked off the attack. The last one, a factory owner who had a conflict with the workers and they were on strike. Instead of resolving the issue, he then employed in place of these the foreigners. And they attacked them under what the workers usually call the scabbing. And that's what sparked it off. And that's why we've been arguing that we are not generally xenophobic as South Africans. There may be a few, but not. We've been staying with people for years. The foreigners are in all our communities. So it is specific incidents that lead to this. I just thought it's important to take this opportunity to explain this because we have the information. And these are issues we're discussing with the representatives of the foreigners. I emphasized in the meeting that the lines of communication that had been opened with government should be utilized to ensure continuous engagement. I assigned the interministerial task team on migration to engage both stakeholders, groupings, to find lasting solutions and to promote peaceful coexistence. I must emphasize that we value the presence of foreign nationals in our country, as many bring much needed skills in our country. It is also important to say that many others come as business people to invest or as tourists, and their presence is much appreciated. It is, in any case, a normal movement in the globe that neighbors go to other neighboring countries for a variety of activities. We also have a responsibility to protect refugees and asylum seekers, and we will continue to do so. The Interministerial Committee on Migration has also been tasked with improving the implementation of the country's migration policies, while also ensuring the safety of all in the country, including foreign nationals. Among work carried out thus far to respond to the recent attacks is an anti-crime clean-up operation called Operation Fiela. It's aimed at ensuring that no area in the country remains in the control of crime syndicates and drug dealers. Operation Fiela is also aimed at ensuring that all traders do so legally, which is why the police are, among others, targeting trade in contraband. We wish to emphasize that while working to create a host, government will also not tolerate illegal immigrants. All people should be in the country legally and be documented as required in every country. the laws of the country must be respected. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The Honorable Nkandla.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. Thanks, Your Excellency, President. You said earlier that we are first and foremost part of Africa before we even become South Africans, even though we have footprints throughout the international community. But you also said it's encouraging to hear that all the stakeholders that you convened, President, are committed to a peaceful and a stable environment. For us to be able to have policies that are people-friendly, as you mentioned, but the ministerial task team that you have assembled, are they processing all the factors that are coming out of that process of engagement so that we are clearing off all the issues that are contaminating the environment that you want to build? Thanks, Chair.
The Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. That is part of what the ministerial team is doing, is coordinating the departments that are carrying out this operation are part of that ministerial team. The plan is not just ending with what is happening now. The plan is long-term. They're going to be doing a number of things to ensure that the conditions that lead to these kind of attacks sparking off from time to time are eliminated. So this is part of it. If you take, for an example, what has been happening, everybody was saying the drug activities in the country has increased. There are centers that people are saying are known, and those centers are going to be searched. The operation will deal with them and deal with whatever that is illegal in those centers, in whatever place. Some people were saying there are areas that have been taken over by drug lords, etc. This is part of the operation that is dealing with that. And I'm emphasizing this because I heard that some people were complaining about Operation Fiala. And I don't understand, because they've been complaining about drug lords known where they are. If now we take action against them, they're also complaining. I think it's almost like the normal saying among the peasants that God decided not to listen to us. Because when it was sunny, we said we want rain. And then when it was raining, we said, no, we want sun. Because we are saying there's crime in this country, and the security forces are dealing with it. Why do we complain? So I think, just for the benefit of those who say so, I think we should be able to give leadership to say the country is dealing with the situation. The crime is too high, and we need to do something about it. And people must not complain. We are fearing in the country. Not so. Thank you.
The Honorable Tobejani.
Thank you, Chairperson of Council. Honorable President, I think the problem in South Africa is about xenophobia. People, they can't even see when you are doing better. Because the fact that President Zuma, Chairperson, cut the trip that he was going to the international during the time of xenophobic, we were all supposed to say, you have done all what you are able to do as a human being. But we are continuing from now, time and again, only see the opposite side of all what he's doing. I wanted to say, President Zuma, we are very comfortable with what we are doing in managing the crisis of this country. And you need to continue doing that.
Honorable Mtileni, Kosi Tswarahanyan.
Giving a speech or is putting a question across?
Honorable Mtileni, members of this House have 2 minutes to get to their supplementaries. In fact, you do exactly what the Honorable Tobejani has been doing very frequently in the House. So he He still has a minute to go before I can rule him to get to the question. Honorable Tobejane, continue.
Thank you, Chairperson. Therefore, I'm saying, President, we are very comfortable, the majority of the citizens of this country, with the effort you are putting in place. Don't worry about the minority. Worry about the majority of the citizens.
Your question?
My question is, as you are doing these consultations with stakeholders, outside the country, will you be able also to meet with traditional leaders and check how far they are in this challenge that we are confronted with? Thank you very much.
Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Yes, I think as part of the consultation, we will certainly consult with the traditional leaders. Fortunately, we have them organized in a specific way as one form. For an example, there's National House, there are provincial houses. We will certainly continue to discuss the issue, but we'll also get to the areas where the traditional leaders are, but hoping that if we talk to the houses, the message will go. But still we'll want to interact, because in South Africa, unlike in many countries, foreigners are everywhere among us, and therefore when we talk about foreigners and that we should work together, we should unite, we should not hate them, it's important that we also talk to the traditional system. Because if people come into areas, and I know that in some areas they are practicing it. I know, for example, there are specific areas in Limpopo that if somebody arrives, is reported to the authorities, and that information is taken to the traditional leader, there's no one who's not known who comes there. So even that experience is very important, because we could apply it even in the urban areas to say in a street, who is a foreigner, and that person must be reported. So we also need that kind of experience so that it could enhance our efforts to try to bring harmony in the manner in which we do. So we will certainly be consulting with the traditional leaders. Thank you.
The Honorable Kaula.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, Your Excellency, the President. The State President has referred to the issues pertaining to both illegal and legal immigrants. Honorable President, almost half of the refugee reception centers in the country have closed down. Now, these are centers which assist the immigrants in respect of their proper documentation when they seek the status to be recognized likewise, and also those who seek to renew their documentation. Now, there is Operation Fiela on the one hand, and on the other hand, this difficulty in respect of the immigrants to access assistance so that they can get proper documentation. Will South Africa then not be accused or be found guilty of flouting the international law of non-refoulement, to which South Africa is a signatory, if this is happening where, on the one hand, there is Fiela, on the other hand, there is difficulty in respect of accessing the assistance to be recognized as an immigrant? And lastly, Chairperson, I'm not talking about Operation Fiela in respect of channeling crime, but I'm only referring to the issues pertaining to immigration. Thank you, Chair.
Siyabonga baba. Mongameli.
Thank you. No, there is no conflict between Fiela and rectifying and regularizing the legality or the status of the people who are here. Operation Fiela, if we found as government somebody who doesn't have papers, that person must interact with the centers that will help regularize. And if that person is here illegally and has no papers and is supposed to go, and proper action is taken like any other country. Those who come to specific centers to ask for papers and explain their cases, they are dealt with. That's in a normal course. The issue here is that we realize that those who do not have legal papers, they're in big numbers. And if they're just sitting, they're not making effort to apply, why would they sit without any paper? So as a country, we need to take action to ensure that everything is properly dealt with. So there is no contradiction. South Africa will never be accused. What is South Africa doing is to correct the situation that every person who's here should have the legal papers. Those who don't have, they should explain. If they can't explain, they can't be here. And we cannot be accused. It's a normal practice throughout the world. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Muhai.
Thanks, Chairperson. Mr. President, as we celebrate 60 years of the Freedom Charter...
Is it a point of order, Mr. Lund? Honorable Lund.
Same, both I will respond. Chair, I just want to check because this is a question session to the President, okay? 3/4 of these questions are being asked by ANC members, okay? This is not a platform to create sweetheart questions for the President. We as the opposition and the ANC need to hold the President to account, but it's not fair that 3 of the 4 questions goes to ANC members in this House, and then when it goes to an opposition member like the EFF, they actually waste their question time. So please, can we get clarity on how the spread of questions are going to be handled?
Order,
so that
members,
all
I'm trying to
political
listen.
parties have a chance to engage with the President on each question, and that he give answers to all political parties and not just one party and a token question to another party.
Honorable Lund, it is a question to me, President. The point the member is raising is a little bit of both sides. The fact of the matter is that questions come in and they are ordered as they come in. And sometimes the rules say to us that we must confine ourselves to a certain number. The balance that we need to find is in the first come, first serve, that we must spread the questions across the parties. The other lesson that comes out of the point of order which Honorable Lund is making is that when all of us get the chance to make supplementary questions, we must make good use of it. So in that point, Honorable Lund, I'm not dismissing your point of order. We will take that into consideration every time. Honorable Muhai, you are on a point of order, Mateis?
I am Chairperson.
Yes, ma'am.
On a point of order on our Honorable DA member saying that the EFF has wasted their questions, I would like to ask him to withdraw that comment. Number 2, Honorable Member Mitileni raised on a question of privilege. He should have still been allowed to ask his follow-up question, and I didn't raise on a point of order because I wanted him to do that. So it wasn't a wasted question. He had a question. We had a question to ask.
Thank you. Thank
the
you,
point
ma'am.
of privilege was a totally separate question, but I would like the Honourable Member to withdraw about EFF wasting
Honourable Mateis.
questions. Thank you.
Honourable Mateis, the Honourable Lund is not out of order. The Honourable Mtileni was given the chance to ask a question. He then did not. It is on record. We will refer you to the records of this House and to Hansard. The Honourable Lund is not out of order. He was accorded the chance because I had recognized him for a supplementary. He chose not to take it. That is the truth. The Honourable Muhai, you are on the floor.
Thanks very much, Chairperson. Mr. President, as we celebrate 60 years of the Freedom Charter and 72 years of the African claims, the ANC has been at the forefront of of a creation of a united Africa as one of the nations in the world with full of possibilities. Mr. President, you have addressed the threats of these xenophobic attacks to the standing of our country, South Africa, Africa, and the world over. And Mr. President, what do you envisage as the role of members of parliament within their communities in this regard? Thank you, Chair.
The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Yes, South Africa has always stood for Africa. It's not a new thing. Particularly, the oldest organization in this continent, the African National Congress. You'll recall that even before the formation of the ANC, I think about 1906 or so, one of its founding members, Pixley Zagaseme, wrote an essay that won awards about Africa, talking about Africa as one entity. That, in a sense, has informed that oldest organization over the years, and we were there when the when the Organization of African Unity was formed, even before we were free. So we have always pursued unity in the continent, that the issues of the continent affect all Africans. And therefore, when we, for an example, raise the issue of the Bill of Rights in the early 40s, we're looking at South Africans, but in the main, the Africans in the continent as well. And I'm sure you referred to the Freedom Charter, is part of the contribution that this oldest organization has made to bring a clearer thinking and clarify the position of the South Africans. So we have been there, not just that we joined others, we've been among the founders of these ideas in the continent, and we are among the implementers today. So we'll continue to do so. And that's why the issue of the attacks that we are talking about do not represent the thinking and the aspirations and the feelings of the South Africans, because we believe we are Africans, we are part of them, we've made a contribution to ensure that Africa is together. That's why even on the programs of dealing with conflicts, we are there. We are in the programs where we are dealing with the economy together through the Organization of African Unity, the AU today. So we are very proud of our record in terms of the country, in terms of our political outlook, which we hope will influence other political entities, the thinking that is broader. Because if the thinking is narrow, the party can't stay too long. It will disappear.
Honorable members, we proceed to our fourth question. It is posed by the Honorable Khayla. Mr. President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I received the report of the Falam Commission of Inquiry on the 31st March 2015, and also received a briefing from Judge Ian Falam subsequent to the delivery of the report. This is an important report which needs careful consideration so that the findings and the recommendations can be used to ensure that such an incident does not happen again in our country. The report will be released to the public as soon as I have completed processing the findings and recommendations. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
The Honorable Khayla.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Mr. President, the general public opinion and numerous legal views are that senior police officials, including the former Police Minister, Honorable Mtetwa, and the National Police Commissioner, Commissioner Pierre, be investigated for murder. They also argue that lawman executives should be charged as accomplices, together with the Deputy President, Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa. Are these opinions and views consistent with the recommendation of the Marikana Commission? If not, how different are they? If so, can you share with this House how do you intend to implement this recommendation? And can you give assurance to the citizens of this country that the report will be released in the original form and that there will be no delays in the full implementation of the recommendation thereof? I thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I thought my answer was very clear. I said I've received the report, I'm looking at the report, and the recommendations. I'm not talking about loose talk in the streets. I'm talking about a report from a commission which has very specific issues, even about the names that the honorable member is talking about. So I don't know why the member is now asking what I'm going to do, because they are saying it's just making allegations against people. He does not know what the report is saying. The report is not talking about the rumors about Marikana. It's talking about an inquiry that was made by a commission chaired by the judge. Very clear findings and recommendations. And I've said, once I've completed, I will release the report, and I will also say what I'm doing about the recommendations. So I thought I had answered all what the honorable member was asking. Thank you.
The Honorable Mikilakis.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson, I did not get a clear answer from the President, so I'm going to ask it in this way. Mr. President, reports indicate that our National Police Commissioner, Ria Piecha, is to a large degree to blame for the events which took place on the 16th of August 2012. If the Farnham Commission of Inquiry's report finds that the Commissioner is indeed not fit to hold office, as the reports may indicate, will you offer her a golden handshake, deploy her to another office, or have her fired, as should be the right thing to do? Thank you.
Honorable Mikilakis, your question really is speculative. You are asking the President to speculate. You are asking the President to speculate, but I'm not stopping the President if he wishes to respond to you, but it is speculative.
Honorable Chairperson, it's not speculation. I said if it indicates. So it's a matter of principle.
It is speculative, Honorable Member. It is speculative. Honorable President, you may not respond to it. In terms of our rules, that question is speculative.
No, I'm not going to indulge in the speculation. Absolutely.
The Honorable Khai.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, Your Excellency. Alongside the Farnham Commission inquiry, the carrying ANC government has been involved in programs and interventions that seek to address the social challenges faced by people of Marikana. I would like to ask the Honorable President to perhaps tell us what are the programs that the ANC government has been involved in to address these social challenges. I thank you.
Honorable Khayla, is it a point of order? You are recognized.
Honorable Chairperson, it's another question. It's not consistent with the question that I asked.
Honorable Khayla is right. Honorable Khay, you are asking the president to give a program based on the aftermath. You are not asking the president to deal with the matter of the report which he has received and has yet to make public. In that case, I will agree with the Honorable Khayla. I will agree with Honorable Khayla. Honorable Khai, I think that you are asking a new question, and therefore I will pass on the Honorable Labuskaghni.
President, the people of South Africa does have the perception that you tend to ignore recommendations as the recommendations of the public protector.
Honorable Labuskaghni, yeah, just close to the mic.
So, Chair, I would like to say as the basis of trust in this country. What guarantee do you give this council today that you not only will make the report public, but you will actually act on the recommendations of that report to ensure that justice for the victims and their families will prevail?
The Honorable President.
I have answered that question, Honorable Chair.
Honorable members, I will give the last Honorable Labuskaghni.
Order, if I may raise that. The Honorable President said on the previous two questions that he will make the report public. I asked, what guarantee does he give the council that he will act on the recommendations? These are two different things.
Order, members, order. Honorable Labuskaghni, your question has been responded to. The inferred question in your question is that the president must give guarantees. And he has already said as soon as he has finished reading the report and the recommendations, he will make them public. You are on a point of order, Honorable Mtileni. Are you on a point of order?
Yes, on a point of order, Honorable Chair. I think the president is dodging here. Because you see, as much as ANC members don't want to hear about the Nkandla issue, I think this one also is going to be of the same thing, because he has been dilly-dallying answering the Nkandla issue. And also, we do not believe, that is why we insist as to when is the president going to release the report to the public. Because since the dawn of democracy, we have had several commissions where millions of rands have been spent, and we have never heard of any commission having released to the public. That is why we want to know when is the public going to release the report to the public.
Thank you.
I think
Honorable Mtileni.
No, it's not just a question of releasing, even implementing it. Because here we are sitting with the Nkandla issue, which is a bitter pill to swallow. Yes.
The Honorable Mtileni, the president is taking...
You will never scare us, man. Why are you so...
Honorable Mtileni, please.
You are leading us nowhere, man.
Honorable Mtileni. Honorable Mtileni, this house is in order. Honorable Mtileni, this house is in order. It is not a house that is going to have members speaking across one another. You stood on a point of order. We accorded you the respect and the opportunity. We want to respond to your point of order. Your point of order is that you insist that you be given the date and time for the release of the report. I am going to give the president the space to respond to that. Mr. President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. You are honorable member. He seemed to be having something in his head about Nkandla. Every time he stands up, he talks about Nkandla. Maybe I can see him outside and deal with the issues, because that's not the issue at the moment. You know, from the beginning, Nkandla. At the end, before he says anything, Nkandla. Emhlabeni kaNkotheni. With regards to the issue, I cannot give a date. That's speculation. I'm reading the report. As soon as I finish reading the report, looking at the recommendations, I will release the report and indicate what is my attitude to the recommendations. Now, he wants me to lie to give a date. Do I know when I will finish? I will be misleading Parliament. I will be able to deal with the issue. Ubani lo khuluma ngemva, ngikhuluma.
Miyeke, Mangameli.
Abahloniphi laba. Abahloniphi labantu bakho. So, I'm saying I will finish the report and I will release the report, release also what I'm doing with the recommendations.
Thank you,
Yebo.
President. The Honorable Van Lingen, you were on a point of order.
Chairperson, this is a very serious case. At one stage, you tell me that we fought hard for democracy in South Africa, and I entirely agree with you. But this is not a democracy that only works for some people. It must work for all the people in South Africa. The Marikana issue must work for all the people in South Africa. Our democracy is supreme. And when Honorable Labuskaghni says, will the president deal with it, she has the right. The president has now finally said he will deal with it accordingly. And he will tell us his attitude on the matter. We don't ask for his attitude, we ask for law and order and leadership in this country, and that is what we need. And we have too many reports in front of the president that need urgent attention. This report must be dealt with, and it must be dealt with decisively, and that's the point of order.
Order, members. Order, members. Honorable members, any of us, the law requires that a report or any matter that comes in front of you, that you must read. In that read, you must also consider. I do not wish to speak on behalf of the head of state. I want to come into the interpretation of the Honorable Labuskaghni in what she says she understands, President, when you said you will then say what your attitude to the report is. Is that what irks the Honorable von Lingen? The attitude, when the president says, and I will then say what my attitude is to the recommendations.
Thank you. I used his terminology, the Honorable President's terminology of him saying he will tell us what his attitude is. The question remains, when will it be dealt with? How long is the period? Why must we take so long? It goes on forever. There are a lot of reports lying with him and with Cabinet that has to be sorted out.
Honorable Labuskaghni. Honorable Labuskaghni. I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry. My apologies, Honorable Labuskaghni. Honorable Van Lingen. The question of when has been asked 3 times. The President has responded. The Honorable Dlamini, you were on a point of order.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Just want to check if it is parliamentary to be called voting cows. Honorable Mtileni has just called us voting cows. If it is not parliamentary, can he withdraw that?
Chair. You see, if you are mentally okay.
Honorable Mtileni,
if you are
I did not
mentally
give
okay-
you the floor.
Can I finish?
No, I did not give you the floor to respond. Honorable members, it would help us to behave like adults and public representatives. Now and then Parliament comes up with words, with phrases which are unparliamentary. As I sit here and preside today, Honorable Dlamini, I am not sure whether voting cows is amongst that list. I want to beg this House, leave to enable me to go through and to come back on this matter. But it is always better, honorable members, to treat each other with respect in the House. President, we proceed. You are on a point of order. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. The Honorable President responded to Honorable Mtileni's comment about taking it outside and his obsession with Nkandla. Was that a threat? Just don't know if it's very parliamentary for the President to say he'll respond to an issue outside.
Ma'am, I cannot rule on this matter. There is nothing offensive about it. It is up to the two honorable members whether the Honorable Mtileni chooses to avail himself to the invitation or not, and therefore I am not ruling, and that is final. Sit down, Honorable Mtileni. Sit down. Take your seat. You are instructed to take your seat now. We proceed, honorable members, to question number 5. Order. You are on a point of order, ma'am.
Honorable Vauda asked Mr. President to apologize.
And I ruled him
Honorable
out of order.
President, yes. And also, I would like the Honorable President, I withdraw my fingers, I withdraw. I also like to ask the President.
No. You are on a point of order.
On a point of order, yes. I would like the President to withdraw on saying, the respect is not demanded, it's earned.
Honorable members, I do not want to entertain any more deliberate and frivolous questions. The Honorable Vauda raised the matter of a he or she. That point we said we acknowledged. We acknowledged because I may call you he tomorrow, you may call me he today. It is not deliberate, and the Honorable Vauda knows that. That is why I said we note that. I want to proceed. I want to proceed to question number 5. And the question number 5 is a question which was asked by the Honorable Suka. I have been informed that the Honorable Makue is responsible for the question. Honorable Mtileni, I really think that I do not know what you are up to. It is for the last time. Honorable members, you are my witnesses. This is for the last time. I will take a point of order from him today.
You know, Mr. President is scaring me. He says he will deal with me. And he reminds me of the NA sitting where we were jostled out by security. I don't know if he mentions that kind of dealing with me or some
Honorable
other way.
Mtileni, can I say to you now, please take your seat. I will go back to Hansard. I will go to Hansard. Honorable members, I am ruling. I will go through Hansard. If the president used the word deal with you, I will come back to you and rule. Honorable President, the question is question number 5.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. The SADC Secretariat has been asked to prepare the action plan and to fully cost the industrial strategy and to present such an action plan at the next SADC summit in August 2015. The strategy seeks to produce major economic and technological transformation in SADC countries and the region, to increase growth and enhance the competitive and advantages of the economies of the SADC region. Our own industrial policy action plan is informed by our foreign policy, which makes our continent, Africa, the primary focus of our country politically and economically. Therefore, South Africa sees immense benefit from the direction that SADC is taking, as it will create more opportunities as we move ahead with the further industrialization program inside the country. The pending establishment of a free trade area in the continent is also another great opportunity for South Africa, as it means a larger market for our goods and services and improve employment prospects for all in the continent and a better life for the African people. I thank you.
The Honorable Makwe.
Thank you very much, Honorable President, for the reply. We have yesterday received the budget vote from Minister Ibrahim Patel. And in there, he places a lot of emphasis also on industrialization. Mr. President, the question would just be related to the earlier conversation that we have had. Are the members of SADC, particularly the heads of state, also looking at this question of industrialization and how it can contribute towards ensuring that citizens of a country no longer had to leave their country for economic reasons, but there will be development within all the countries in the SADC region? Thank you, Chair.
Mr. President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Yes, the leaders of SADC countries are looking at industrializing the region, SADC. In other words, they are looking at a situation where all countries will specifically and deliberately be helped to create industries, and that will immediately mean that citizens in those countries are not going to leave those countries in search of employment. We'll have employment in those countries. And therefore, it will bring that benefit and expand the economy, because those citizens in those countries who will now be employed will have money to utilize to change the quality of their lives. And therefore, the economies will grow. What is happening at the moment, is that many of these countries receive goods from South Africa only. It's a one-sided kind of economic activities. Now that will balance, that all countries will benefit, they will be able to produce and sell, and then they will also be able to buy what will be coming from other countries. So in other words, SADC as a region, when it integrates with other African regions, as we are in the process of doing so, putting together 3 economic regions of the 5 of the AU, we should be coming into those kind of interactions with a very stronger region that has the economic muscle to be able to do trade and do everything. And therefore, the citizens of the region will benefit. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The Honorable Mateis. The Honorable Mateis.
Thank you, Chairperson. Some of the SADC member states have initiated processes despite hostile reactions from the West to gain greater control, to gain greater ownership of their country's natural resource.
Sorry, Chair, could you speak?
You are not audible, ma'am. Come closer to the mic, please.
Sorry, my throat is not clear after all the feisty debating in the House today. Okay, this is better. So some of the SADC member states have initiated processes despite the hostile reactions from the West, and this was to gain greater ownership of their country's natural resources, to stimulate domestic industrialization, and coupled with their reasonable economic growth. And they are in better position today to contribute meaningfully to SADC industrial strategy. Our economic growth is stagnant, Mr. President, and likely to be leaning towards regression. What is South Africa doing in its industrial policy to gain greater ownership of the natural resources, specifically in the mining industry, to stimulate domestic industrialization, to be able to contribute meaningfully to SADC?
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. President. Honorable members. Honorable Member Mukhosi, I believe. The question, honorable members, is meant primarily to be heard by the House, but most importantly, to the person it is posed. If you make your conversations louder, and this side, these 2 rows, you've been conversing loudly, then the rest of the House will not hear. Kiyakopa, kiyacela. Honorable President.
Well, thank you, Honorable Chair. Unfortunately, I couldn't hear the first part because I would have loved to comment on it as well. I hope I heard the last part as to what are we doing as a country as we industrialize with regard to our mineral resources. I hope I heard the question correctly. Yes, thank you very much. Well, I think it is a known fact that we have championed what we call beneficiation, which is in the main directed to our mineral resources, that we have to change from allowing the extraction of our mineral resources to be processed outside of our country or continent, that we need to deal with it here so that we can create jobs. And that is a program we are undertaking as part of industrialization. And it is going to do a lot in terms of creating jobs for our people, but also growing our economy. That's part of what also the region itself is talking about. Those are the matters we actually discuss in the extraordinary summit of the heads of states, that we needed to have specific programs that deal with that issue of beneficiation. The Secretariat that will be giving a report will also indicate what are the specific plans to deal with the question of beneficiation. So that's what we are doing, and also to say what type of industries we create in different countries. The industries that will be in keeping with the demands of the countries, as well as that will address the challenges that we face as a region, so to speak. So these are matters that are going to come together in the report that will be submitted by the SADC Secretariat. Thank you.
The Honorable Smith.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I'm sure the Honorable President is a very busy man between covering up all the reports and the cases against him and having 4 wives and planning for a 5th one. But let me quickly put my question. Honorable President, the energy crisis currently experienced by South Africans and the challenges relating to dilapidated and unbuilt infrastructure, the high levels of unemployment and inequality hamper the country's economy growth outlook. Would commitments to binding international agreements such as strategy and roadmap not affect our own infrastructure backlogs adversely as financial resources would be strained?
The Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I've been busy from my young age. I fought for freedom every day. And helped to liberate him, the honorable member. I've always been busy as I'm busy now. Whatever you see, and I've got a very huge family, that makes me even more busy. There's no secret about it. It's not a funny story. From my grandfather, the family was always big. It's not a joke for you. I have been busy. I fought for struggle, and I'm still busy to develop my country. It's not to play around. What we do in terms of our economic growth, in terms of our infrastructure, it is partly in keeping with the global development. There can be no country that develops on its own without taking into account what is happening globally, what is happening continentally, as well as outside of our continent. So there is nothing that we do economically that is out of tune with what is happening in the world. So whatever is developing in the world is not going to interfere with our own economic developments. If anything, it will enhance it. That's what it is. Thank you.
Thank you, President. The Honorable De Beer.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. His Excellency, it's very clear that this industrial action plan and policy will also lead to economic growth and create jobs. Does this industrial strategy form part of the Development Bank of Southern Africa support programs?
The Honorable President.
I'm not sure whether I heard, there's something I did not hear.
Honorable De Beer,
help me
please repeat yourself?
The actual question is, does this industrial strategy of the region form part of the Development Bank of Southern Africa's support programs, seeing the new road the DBSA is taking?
Honorable President.
Does it take into account the African Bank? Or the African Development Bank?
Yes.
Oh, okay. No. No. Incidentally, in the summit, the issue of the financing of the industrialization was discussed, and therefore the issue of the development banks were specifically mentioned, including the African Development Bank and other banks, because it is going to need quite a massive financing by whatever banks that will be there. But certainly, the African Development Bank will be part of that kind of cluster of banks, particularly because it is in Africa. Again, the Secretariat will be coming back, and particularly the financiers will be coming back with a plan. How do we finance our industrialization? And I'm sure the bank will be touched. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Honorable members, President, we move on to The sixth question, it is a question posed by the Honorable Kaula.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I've signed performance agreements with all cabinet ministers following their assumption of office. The agreements are based on the medium-term strategic framework, which is derived from the National Development Plan. The purpose of the performance agreements is to improve the performance of government and to ensure that all ministers and departments are clear about what needs to be done and what the targets of governments are. I'm currently in the process of meeting each minister individually, as well to ensure that all are clear about the goals and my expectations regarding the performance of departments. Regular performance reports are provided to Cabinet, and if any remedial action is required, ministers are informed. Thank you.
The Honorable Kaula.
Thank you, Chairperson, Honorable President. Although, Honorable Chairperson, the question was not answered in full. I don't know if I should proceed. Because there is another part.
Oh, yes, President, the second subsection is the one that deals which says which are the 5 best and worst performing departments. That part. Is that what you are referring to?
The provinces.
Well, I don't gauge departments which is the best, which is not the best. I make all of them work, and that's how I view them. If there are problems, I deal with them. I've never made comparisons.
Honorable Kaula.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable President, I would like to know what will be the consequence to those that do not perform, the ministers who do not perform. Because what we have experienced before in this country, it may have happened before your time. It may also have happened during your own past 5 years that you get a minister not performing, a deputy minister not performing, and they get recycled to either the parastatals or to foreign missions. Now, which gives us as South Africans a conclusion that if you do not perform there, it's okay, you can still be recycled to another position. Now, those positions where they are getting redeployed to, it means they are somehow being taken for granted because non-performers are allowed to go and not perform elsewhere. Are we going to see harsher consequences in respect of non-performers? Thank you.
The Honorable, the President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Well, I don't know how much the Honorable Member knows individual performance of people who must have been either changed or whatever. Because I take it that if you talk about, for an example, the outcomes that you judge people, if somebody is not performing, for an example, in a particular area, it may be because that person is not what they've been trained for. It may not be necessarily that they're just useless. Now, I don't know the assumption that if you are then changed, the assumption is that you are just useless. I think in my tenure in the government, I've done a number of reshuffles. And I've done so having applied my mind, having even seen and engaged some of the ministers and deputy ministers. And also seeing, at times, it is not because people are not performing. It is because they are performing. I want them to go to difficult ones to perform even better. So the reason is not necessarily because they are useful. I mean, they are useless. It's not, if we pose the question the way Honorable Kaunda is posing it, it makes an assumption that if you change a person, it's because the person is useless. You might be wanting that person to go and do something else, somewhere. And we could quote examples where we have made changes because we wanted somebody to go and discharge expertise in a particular area. So I can't answer the question as if this is a general trend. If you change, it's because you are useless in any way. The reason why we've created these outcomes that we have an agreement with is because we want to be able to do the assessment. And once we have done the assessment, we take the decision then. It also depends. What is it that you believe this person can do better? That person could have been a minister, but you could see the qualities that this would be a better diplomat to represent the country. It does not necessarily mean the person is useless. So I don't think the base of the question is fair to whatever we do in government. Perhaps those who, unfortunately, I don't think to be easy for people to come to government whilst the ANC is still there, they would have known what will happen if we run a government. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Mpambosh Bukwan.
Thank you, Chairperson. To the Honorable President, I would like to know, Honorable President, are there any consideration for the worst performing national departments, worst performing provinces, or particular provincial departments to be put under national administration currently? Can I repeat, the facial expression means no understanding. Can I repeat? I'm happy to repeat.
The President says he's satisfied he heard you, Honorable Member. The President?
No, thank you very much. Whenever there is either an unperforming department or province, we take action. We do so once we realize there's no performance here, having taken certain actions. At the moment, we are not considering to take any action because there isn't anyone that we can say deserves to be subjected under those sections that are generally done. So at the moment, we are not having anyone in view. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The Honorable Motla Shuping.
Thanks, Honorable Chairperson. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, I'm convinced more than ever before that you are steering this ship in the right direction. And that your excellent statesmanship has been demonstrated since your appointment as President of the Republic. I don't want to get into the second term I'm there. I am also happy that, President, you have answered by indicating that these assessment tools and assessment of ministers is not punitive, but to make them work and to produce better results. But, President, my question is, are you convinced to date that the targets that they have set for themselves, at least they are moving towards meeting the targets? Thank you.
The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. As I said, I'm in the process right now of meeting individual ministers to discuss the plans, ensure that there is clear understanding. In the process, they are working. And there are some departments that are performing very well, that you can see, perhaps in the nature of the departments. Other departments are, in a sense, preparing themselves to do more things. They've got plans to address the very outcomes. At the moment, I'm satisfied that the movement is moving very well in terms of ensuring that the outcomes produce the results we expect. I think the system itself has helped even departments to organize themselves better because they want to ensure that they meet the outcomes. And the outcomes are designed in such a way that once they fulfill the outcomes, they would have indeed performed. So I am satisfied at this point in time that they are moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, President. The Honorable Vauda.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I greet you all and also the Honorable President with my normal customary greeting of Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Honorable Vauda, you are doing a very white. We can't hear you.
Is that better?
Yeah, speak to them.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, we welcome the performance agreements signed between the Honorable President and the ministers. This, we understand, is essentially done to ensure monitoring of their performance, but also their accountability. Performance agreements are also signed amongst other officials in other areas of administration, in provincial, local government, etc. By signing these performance agreements, we're sending the right signals out to rank and file, and this is very acceptable indeed. When the President himself took oath of office, this essentially is a performance agreement with the nation. I am sure that the President will agree with me that the President himself is also accountable to the nation at large, not only to the members of Parliament. Accountability and reasonable and acceptable explanation by the President to the members and to the nation at large, and with specific reference. And this is not about holding or punishing people in the sense that people should return money or people should be imprisoned, etc., but sending out the correct signals to the nation at large. In this regard, if the President will give reasonable and acceptable explanations to the nation at large with regard specifically to the Public Protector's report on his Nkandla residence, I'm sure that the President will agree with me. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Vauda. Honorable Vauda. Order, members. The question is the performance of ministers, and I do understand your drift, but we also know that you are smuggling in a question. And I think if the honorable member wants to, the honorable member must write out that question specifically so that it is fair, it gives the President the chance to respond to that question. Baba, the question has been put. I don't know if you are responding to it.
I am. I want to help these members because even if you answer, because there's something in them about Nkandla. Shame, Bandla. Nkandla has been investigated by 3 agencies. Now, that's a problem because they've got preconceived ideas. When
Honorable
I'm answering,
Mateus,
they can't even hear.
Honorable
That's a
Mateus,
problem.
the President is
I'm helping them to explain.
is responding to a question raised by a member of your party. What is the point of order?
Our Honourable President has just said these members. Is it parliamentary for our Honourable President to say these members?
Order, members. Yes, ma'am, I'm listening.
So that is my point of order. I'd like you to
The
rule
point
on
of
whether
order
it's
is whether-
parliamentary. I would like you to rule if it's parliamentary for our Honourable President to say these members. I want to school these members.
These members are what?
These members. These.
Okay. Honorable members, I'm quite capable of responding. I do know that when a point of order is not very clear, I want to take my time and to consider it. On this one, yes, the words these and members are parliamentary. Honorable President, proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. There were three. There was a government task team that investigated Nkandla. There was SIU that investigated Nkandla. There was public protector. With regard to the public protector made specific recommendations and submitted the report in Parliament. I wrote to Parliament to respond to the report of the public protector and indicated what was supposed to happen. The involvement of government in me building my house on the security features is government policy, and their departments are responsible for that, and that's what they did. And nobody has found that they did anything wrong. What the public protector said, this president and his family might have benefited unduly, and that he may have to pay back the money. But that will be determined by the Minister of Police in consultation with the Minister of Finance. Parliament looked at the report and produced its own report out of it and referred those questions to where they were supposed to be referred to the executive, particularly to the Minister of Police. And the Minister of Police is going to respond. He has indicated, at least to the cabinet, that he's ready to respond and make the determination. The problem that has been bugging the EFF is jumping the gun. They say you should pay back the money. Their understanding is that there is a judgment that Zuma must pay back the money. There is nothing of that nature. That is going to be determined by the process, and it is the Minister of Police who's going to say the final word on the recommendations, not on the judgment. They think a recommendation is a judgment, unfortunately. And that is going to be done. Now, they can't hear. That's a problem they always have. Because when you speak, they speak. Because they've got something, these honorable members, they've got something in their head about Nkandla. Look at him standing now. I have not even finished. He's asked the question. He's not listening. And I'm doing him a favor, in fact, because I could not have answered the question. I want them to be clear. They are wrong. They are just doing politics, which is not a very good politics, because they must be, we understand, they even asked this question before Parliament could process the matter, because they've got something in their heads about Nkandla. Oh, lo. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Vauda. The Honorable Vauda is standing, Honorable Mtileni. And may I remind you what you said earlier on? No.
Just accounted.
Your word should be your bond. Honorable Vauda, you are standing.
Thank you, Chairperson. Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I repeatedly made it very clear that I am asking the question not on behalf of myself or the members of Parliament, but on behalf of the constituency I represent and the nation at large. Thank you.
Point taken. The Honorable Mutlashuping.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. I have observed with dismay, Chairperson, that the three members of the EF, Honorable Mateus, Honorable Mtileni, and Honorable
Your fingers, my
No,
honorable
I'm
member.
sorry about it. Every time, I withdraw my finger. Every time, without being recognized, they stand up, they speak, and they don't observe the rules. I think this must come to an end. They must be wait to be recognized so that they can be given an opportunity to address this house. And
The
they
point
must do
is
it with
taken,
respect.
honorable member. Point is taken. Honorable members, Honorable Mtileni, by your word, I'm not going to recognize you on any point of order today. Honorable members, we have come to the conclusion of our question time. What is left is for me to thank you, Honorable President, for availing yourself to come and respond to questions in the NCOP. Thank you very much, sir. Honorable members, this then concludes the business of the day. Honorable members are requested to remain standing while the procession leaves the House.
Demkulu.